You're not worrying. You'd know if you were worrying. This is different. You're planning. Tomorrow, mostly, or next week, working out the order of things, rehearsing what you'll say, deciding what to do if the first option falls through. And it feels productive. That's what makes it so hard to stop. Worry feels bad, so people try to end it. Planning feels useful, so you keep going, and an hour disappears, and you are further from sleep than when you started. So let me take the usefulness away, because that's the only thing that'll stop it. Nothing you plan at this hour survives contact with tomorrow. You know this. You've had the experience of waking up, looking at last night's brilliant sequence, and finding it obvious, or wrong, or already overtaken by something that happened at 9 in the morning. Night planning is not planning. It's rehearsal without information. And there's a second problem. You are planning with a brain that has been awake for 18 hours. Its judgment is measurably worse. It overweights threat, it underweights your own capability, and it cannot hold more than a few things at once. So the plan you're building is being made by the least capable version of you available today. Tomorrow you is sharper, has more information, and will do it in 10 minutes. But the planning part won't just stop because I've said that. It has a reason for running. It's afraid that if it stops, something will be forgotten. So let's answer that directly because it's a fair fear. If there is genuinely one thing you must not lose, one item, not a list, then reach over now and write it down. One line, phone or paper, doesn't matter. Then it exists outside your head, and the part of you holding it can let go. Do that now if you need to. I'll wait. Now, having written it, or decided you didn't need to, the rest is not urgent. The rest is available tomorrow, in daylight, at a table, in a fraction of the time. Say it to yourself if it helps. Asterisk, this is not planning. It's rehearsal without information. Now let's put the body down because planning lives in it more than people realize. Your jaw, let it come apart. Planning clenches jaws. You've been silently talking. Your tongue resting. Your throat soft. Between your eyebrows, smooth. That's the working spot. Your eyes, heavy behind closed lids. Stop scanning. Your shoulders down. Your arms heavy. Your hands open. Let them stop holding the order of things. Your chest slow. Your belly soft. Your ribs wide. Your hips letting go. Your thighs heavy. Your knees unlocked. Your feet far away. And the breath longer out than in. In normally. Out slow all the way. Again. Once more, then leave it alone. One last thing. The planning will start again, probably within a few minutes. When it does, you don't have to fight it or feel you failed. Just notice it and say the sentence. Asterisk rehearsal without information. Then come back to the out breath. You may have to do that 20 times. That's not 20 failures. That's the practice, and it works by repetition rather than by getting it right once. Nothing is being decided tonight. Nothing needs sequencing. jaw loose, hands open, long out breath. Tomorrow you is better at this, and she starts in a few hours. Good night. It started again. Of course it did. Give it a minute, and it'll start once more after this. Let me tell you the thing that finally helps, because just stop thinking about it has never worked for anyone in the history of beds. The planning isn't trying to solve tomorrow. It's trying to make you feel prepared. Those are different jobs, and only one of them is achievable lying down. You cannot become more prepared tonight. The information isn't here, the people are asleep, and nothing can be tested. But you can feel prepared briefly by running a sequence in your head. So your brain keeps running sequences, chasing the feeling, and the feeling lasts about 11 seconds before it needs another one. That's the loop. It isn't productivity, it's a slot machine. So instead of a better plan, let's give you the feeling directly, and then stop. Bring the thing to mind. Whatever tomorrow's main item is, now say this, and mean it as a statement of fact rather than optimism. Asterisk, I will handle it in the room. That's true, by the way. Not hopeful. True. Almost nothing you've ever handled well was handled according to a plan made the night before. It was handled in the room, with the actual information, by a version of you who was present. You are good in rooms. You've been in hundreds of them. Now back through the body, because it tightened while you were sequencing. your jaw apart. Your shoulders down. Your hands open. Your forehead smooth. Your chest slow. Your belly soft. And the out breath long. In. Out. Slow. Again. Let everything be heavy now. Your feet far away. Your legs too heavy to move. Your hips loose. Your back spreading into the bed. Your arms gone. Your face doing nothing at all. If it starts once more, you know the two sentences. Asterisk rehearsal without information. Asterisk, I will handle it in the room. Then the out breath. Nothing is being decided here. Nothing needs ordering. The list, if there was one, is written down and outside your head. Tomorrow Yu starts in a few hours, and she is considerably better at this. Let her have the problem. Good night. It's nice, good. They fell asleep. Mid-conversation, more or less. You were still talking. And now you're lying here in the dark listening to someone breathe like it's the easiest thing in the world. There's a particular loneliness in that. Not a large one, not the kind you'd mention to anyone. But it's real, and it's worth naming before we go any further. Because unnamed things keep you awake longer than named ones. You are the only person awake in this room. Possibly in this house. And some part of you finds that unfair. Let's take the unfairness seriously for a second, and then let's put it down. It is unfair. You did the same day, roughly the same hours. You are equally tired. And they got to leave first. Here is the part that might help. They didn't choose it. Nobody chooses the moment they fall asleep. Nobody has ever once decided to. Falling asleep is something that happens to a person while they are busy not preventing it. They're not better at this than you. They're just further along tonight. Now, the breathing. You've been listening to it. You might not have noticed that you've been listening to it. That's the trouble with a sound in a quiet room. Attention goes there and stays, because there's nothing else asking. And a breathing sound is worse than most, because it's irregular enough to keep surprising you. You wait for the next one, then it comes, then you wait again. That's a loop that could run all night, and it doesn't need your permission. we're going to give attention something else to do. Not force, just something else in the room worth going to. Start with the weight. There's a body in this bed and it's yours and it has weight, and right now that weight is being held entirely by the mattress. Feel the places where that's true. The back of the head, the shoulders, the hips. Nothing there is working. Those parts are being carried. Your jaw. Let the back teeth come apart. Most people spend the whole night with them touching, and nobody has ever needed to. Your tongue can come off the roof of the mouth. Let it sit low and heavy. The space between the eyebrows. There's usually something gathered there. Let it be smooth. Now the hands. Turn one palm up if it's easy to. If it isn't, leave it. An open palm is difficult to be tense in. The body reads it as a place where nothing is required. The shoulders come down away from the ears. They've probably crept back up since we started. They do that. Down again. No effort. Just less holding. Now, your own breathing. Not theirs. Yours. Don't change it. Just find it. There's a small pause at the end of each one, after the air leaves and before you take more. That pause is the restful part, not the breath in, the gap after. Let the out breath be a little longer than the in. You don't need to count. Longer out than in. That's the whole instruction. A long out breath tells the nervous system that nothing is being chased and nothing is chasing. It's not a belief. It's a wiring thing. It works whether you're convinced or not. If your attention goes back to their breathing, that's fine. It will, several times. You don't have to fight it off. You just come back to your own. Attention wanders and gets brought back. That's not failure. That's the entire process working exactly as designed. Something to consider while you're here. That sound you've been resenting is the sound of someone safe. Somebody in this room feels safe enough to be unconscious next to you. And that's not nothing. That's actually the highest compliment an animal can pay another animal. You don't have to feel warm about it right now. It's late and you're tired, and warm feelings are a daylight resource. Just let it sit there as a fact, instead of the other fact. Not, they left me here. More like, this room is safe enough that one of us has already stopped keeping watch. You can stop too. There's nothing here that needs watching. The doors are the way you left them. The house is the way it was an hour ago. Nothing in the next 6 hours requires you. Let the weight go back into the mattress. Jaw loose, shoulders down, out breath longer than the in. You are not behind. You are not doing this wrong. Two people fell asleep tonight at different times, which is what happens every night, in every bed, everywhere. Yours is just later. That's all it is. Later is fine. Good night. You've done the maths. If you fall asleep right now, you get 5 hours and 40 minutes. And you did that calculation about 20 minutes ago when the number was better. So now you're doing it again because the number changed, because the number keeps changing. That's the trap, and it's a good one. It looks like planning. Every time you check, the answer is worse. And every time the answer is worse, it becomes more urgent to sleep. And urgency is the one thing that reliably prevents it. Let's take the arithmetic away from you. Not by force, by making it unnecessary. The alarm is set. You set it. It is a machine, and it does one thing, and it has never once forgotten. You do not need to hold the time in your head as well. And that's what the alarm is for. It is doing the remembering so that you don't have to. Right now, you're both doing it, which is one too many. If the phone is where you can reach it, turn it face down. If you can put it further away without getting up, do that. If getting up would wake you further, leave it. Face down is enough. The point isn't discipline. The point is that a screen that tells the time will be asked what the time is. Every single time. That's not weakness. That's just what a person does with an available answer. Now, about the 5 hours and 40 minutes, I want to tell you something that might loosen the grip on it. You have functioned on less. Not happily, not at your best, but you did the day, and the day got done. Think of one. There's at least one. A night before a flight, a night with a small child, a night that went wrong for no reason. And the next day happened anyway. It was not a good day. Nobody is claiming it was a good day. But it was survivable, and you survived it, and here you are. So the number is not a cliff, that's the thing. Below a certain number, the day gets harder. It doesn't get impossible. There's one more piece, and it's the useful one. Lying down in the dark with your eyes closed is not nothing. It isn't sleep. It's worth less than sleep, but it's a long way from being awake and upright. Heart rate drops, muscle activity drops. The body starts some of the repair it does at night, whether or not you're unconscious. Researchers call it quiet wakefulness, and it is genuinely restorative. Not fully, partly. Which means the last 20 minutes were not wasted, and the next 20 won't be either. You have not been lying here failing. You've been lying here getting a reduced version of the thing. That's a much easier fact to relax into than the other one. So here's what we're doing with the rest of the night. We're not trying to fall asleep. That's off the table. It doesn't work, and it never has. We're going to lie here and be comfortable. That's the only goal. If sleep turns up, it turns up. It's welcome. It is not required. Let's make comfortable actually true then. Find the position you'd choose if nobody was coming and nothing was expected. Move if you need to. Turn over, fix the pillow, get the blanket right. Do it now properly once so that it's done. Good. Now the jaw comes apart, back teeth not touching. Shoulders down away from the ears. Hands open, or at least not closed. Something loosens in the forehead when you stop trying to see in the dark. Let the eyes be heavy rather than shut tight. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. That's the only instruction with any real work in it, and it isn't much work. Longer out than in. The body reads that as safety. It has no choice about reading it that way. If the number comes back, 5 hours and 20 now, or 5 hours and 10, you don't have to argue with it. Just notice that the arithmetic arrived and let it go past. You don't have to check whether it's right. That's the whole move. The alarm knows. You don't need to. Somewhere in the next while, the counting stops mattering, and you won't notice that happening. Nobody ever does. Whatever the number ends up being, the day will take it. Good night. The bed is too big. That's the thing nobody warns you about. Not the funeral, not the paperwork, not the people who don't know what to say. Bed. It was the right size for years, and now it isn't. And it's the same bed. You've probably tried the middle. Most people try the middle at some point, thinking it might feel less like a space if you take up all of it. It doesn't work. You end up in your own place anyway. I'm not going to tell you this gets easier tonight. It doesn't, and you'd know I was lying, and then nothing else I said would be worth listening to. Tonight is just a night that has to be got through. That's all we're doing here. Getting through the hours between now and light. There's a reason it's worse at night, and it's worth knowing, because it means there's nothing wrong with you. During the day, there are things, people, tasks, noise, the small mechanical business of being alive. All of it takes up room. At night, the room empties out, and the only thing left in it is the thing you've been carrying all day underneath everything else. It hasn't got bigger. It's just no longer competing with anything. So the grief that arrives at 11 at night is the same grief as the one at 11 in the morning. You're only noticing it more because there's nothing else to notice. That's not a symptom. That's not you falling apart at night. That's what happens to everyone, in every bed, after every loss. If you've cried already tonight, that's fine. If you haven't, that's fine too. There isn't a correct amount, and there's certainly no schedule. Some nights it comes, and some nights it doesn't, and neither one means anything about how much you loved them. Now, you still have to sleep. Not because you owe anybody a functional tomorrow. Because grief is physically expensive, and you're running it on whatever rest you can get, and less rest makes all of it harder to carry. That's the only reason. Not duty. Fuel. So let's make the body comfortable and let the mind do whatever it needs to do. It's allowed to keep going. We're not shutting it up. Start with where you are. Feel the mattress under you. Feel the weight of the blanket, if there's a blanket. Feel the temperature of the air on whatever part of you is outside the covers. Nothing there is a problem. Notice that. In this exact second, in this room, physically, nothing is wrong. The pain isn't in the room. The pain is in time, in the years that were supposed to be there and aren't. The room is fine. The room is just a room. Let the shoulders drop. They've been up. They've been up for weeks, probably. Let the jaw come apart, back teeth not touching. Let the hands open. If one of them is gripping the blanket, let it stop. And your breathing. Grief breathing is shallow and high in the chest. That's what it does. See if the next breath can go a little lower. Not deep, just lower. Into the belly rather than the top of the ribs. And let the out-breath be long, longer than the in. If a wave comes while we're doing this, let it come. Don't hold your breath against it. Breathing through it is what makes it pass. Holding is what makes it stay. They come and they crest and they go. Every one of them so far has gone. Something about the empty side. You do not have to make peace with it tonight. That is a very long job, and this is a very short night. but you could let it be there without looking at it. It's a part of the bed. It's not a message. It isn't asking you anything. Some people put a pillow there, a folded blanket, something with weight. Not to pretend. Nobody's pretending. Just because a body sleeps better against something, and yours has slept against something for a long time, and it's still asking. If that would help, you can do it. It isn't strange, and it isn't a step backwards. It's a body wanting weight. Now let's take the rest of the night off. Nothing has to be decided tonight. Nothing has to be sorted or cleared or answered. Whatever is waiting has waited this long and will wait until morning. You are not neglecting them by sleeping. That's worth saying plainly, because somewhere in there is the idea that resting is a kind of forgetting. It isn't. It never was. You will wake up and they will still be who they were, and you will still be someone who loved them. Sleep doesn't take any of that. So, wait into the mattress. Shoulders down, jaw loose, out breath long. The room is dark and warm, and nothing in it needs you. If sleep comes, let it. If it doesn't come for a while, that's all right too. You're resting either way, and resting counts. Just here, just breathing, just tonight. That's enough. That's genuinely enough. Good night. There is a noise, and it isn't yours. Upstairs, next door, the street. A car alarm 4 buildings over that nobody is going to deal with. And you have no control over any of it, which is the actual problem. Let's be clear about that, because it matters. You can sleep through a fan. You can sleep through rain. You've slept through traffic your whole life. It isn't volume. It's authorship. A noise you can't stop is processed differently from a noise you can. The brain files it as a thing happening to you rather than a thing in the background. And things happening to you get monitored. So the sound isn't keeping you awake. The monitoring is. And that's not a technicality. It's the whole reason tonight is going the way it's going. You're not lying here hearing a noise. You're lying here waiting for the next one. Waiting is much more expensive than hearing. Hearing takes a fraction of a second and it's over. Waiting runs continuously, and it runs on the good fuel, and it doesn't stop until you decide it can. And there's also the anger, which we should mention, because pretending it isn't there won't help. You are, on some level, furious. At the people upstairs who are awake and inconsiderate. At the car. At whoever designed a building where you can hear someone else's television. And that's a reasonable response, and you're allowed it. But anger is an activating state. It raises heart rate, it raises temperature, it puts the body into a posture for doing something. And there is nothing to do. Not tonight, not at this hour. So the anger has nowhere to go, and it sits in the chest and the jaw, and it makes the noise louder, which produces more anger. That's the loop. That's what we're taking apart. Here's the first move, and it's a small one. Stop trying not to hear it. You've been doing that. Everyone does. Straining against a sound, holding still, hoping it stops. That straining is muscular. It's in your neck and your shoulders right now. Let it go. Let the sound in. If it's there, it's there. Hear it fully. Don't push. Something strange happens when you stop resisting a sound. It stops being an event. It becomes weather. And weather is ignorable in a way that events never are. If there's something you can actually do, do it now and then stop. Earplugs, if you have them, a fan or an air conditioner for a steadier sound to sit under, a pillow folded over the ear that's facing the wall. Do it once, properly, and then we're finished with solutions for tonight. Because the second attempt, and the third, and the getting up again, that's the thing that turns a bad hour into a bad night. Now let's deal with the body, which has been braced this whole time. Start with the shoulders. They are up. They have been up since the noise started. Let them fall all the way. The jaw. This is where the anger lives, and it's probably clenched. Let the back teeth come apart. Keep them apart. The tongue comes off the roof of the mouth and sits low. Around the eyes, that tight ring of small muscles. Let it soften. Nothing needs looking at. Hands. If either one is a fist or half a fist, open it. Let the fingers be loose and slightly curled, the way they are when you're not using them. And the breathing. Bracing makes it shallow, and it makes it high. Yours is probably both. Let the next one go lower into the belly. And let the out-breath be longer than the in. Longer out than in. That's it. That's the only thing with any work in it. Now, when the next noise comes, and it will, see if you can let it arrive without the shoulders going back up. That's the whole practice, not silence. Silence isn't available tonight. Just a noise arriving and a body that doesn't brace for it. You'll get it wrong several times. The shoulders will come up on their own. Let them come down again, as many times as it takes. Nobody gets this in one go, and there's no score being kept. One more thing worth knowing. The people making that noise are not thinking about you at all. That sounds like it should make it worse. It usually makes it better. Because it means none of this is aimed. It isn't personal. It's just a building with thin floors and somebody who is awake. You've been the noise. At some point. Everyone has. Nobody was awake resenting you either, most likely. So, shoulders down, jaw loose, hands open. Out breath longer than the in. The sound is allowed to be there. You're allowed to be here. both things at once for a few hours. It'll stop eventually, and you probably won't be awake to notice. And that's usually how it goes. Good night. You slept most of today, and now it's dark and you're wide awake and the whole thing feels backwards. Before anything else, I'm not going to ask you what happened. Sometimes there's a reason, and sometimes there isn't. And either way, it doesn't change what we do next. Let's start with the part that's making tonight hardest, which isn't the sleep schedule. It's the shame. Somewhere in the last few hours, you have called yourself something. Lazy, probably. Or wasted. Or a variation of the same thing in your own words, which is always sharper. I'd like to take that one apart because it's factually wrong and because it's the thing standing between you and sleep tonight. A body that sleeps 14 hours is not a lazy body. A lazy body sleeps 8 and lounges. That's what lazy looks like, and it's honestly quite pleasant. 14 hours is a body doing something. It's recovering, or it's depleted, or it's shutting down a system that ran too long without stopping. That's not indulgence. That's triage. You don't have to agree with me tonight. You can keep the word if you want it. Just consider that a body which took 14 hours probably needed something and took it without asking your permission. Bodies do that. It's one of the more reliable things about them. Now, the practical situation. You are not tired because you slept. That's not a mystery and it's not a failure. That's arithmetic. And there is a real temptation right now to fix it tonight, to force yourself under so tomorrow starts correctly. That won't work, and I'd rather say so now than have you spend 4 hours proving it. Sleep pressure is a physical thing. It builds from the moment you wake and it's spent when you sleep. You spent yours. There isn't much left in the tank. No amount of lying here with your eyes shut will manufacture more of it before morning. So we're going to do something different tonight, and I want you to hear it properly. We are not trying to sleep. Tonight is a rest night, not a sleep night. Those are different, and one of them is available. Here's why that isn't giving up. The thing that fixes an inverted schedule is not tonight, it's tomorrow morning. Specifically, getting up at a normal hour tomorrow, whatever tonight does, and getting light into your eyes early. That's the lever. Morning light, not the going to bed, the getting up. Which means tonight has almost no job to do. Tonight just has to pass without making tomorrow harder. And the thing that would make tomorrow harder is lying here for 6 hours, getting steadily more upset with yourself. So let's take the pressure off completely. You may not sleep tonight. That is a permitted outcome. Nothing breaks. You'll be tired tomorrow, and tired tomorrow is exactly what we want, because tired tomorrow is what gets you back on the clock tomorrow night. Tonight's poor sleep is not the problem. It's the mechanism. Now, comfortable. Since we're not chasing sleep, comfort is the whole objective, and comfort is much easier to achieve. Get into the position you'd choose if you were staying awake on purpose. Adjust the pillow. Fix the blanket. Do it now. Good. Let the shoulders come down. Let the jaw come apart, back teeth not touching. Let the hands be open and loose. Now the breathing, and this is the only real instruction. Out breath longer than the in. Not deep, not counted, just longer going out than coming in. That alone drops the nervous system a level, and it works even when you're wide awake, and it costs nothing. If the mind starts on the day you missed, let it. Don't argue with it. Arguing takes energy, and it's louder than the thought was. Just notice. There's the thought about the day, and come back to the out breath. It'll go again. Bring it back again. That's not failure, that's the whole activity. Something to hold on to, if you want it. Nothing about today is a verdict. It's one day inside a life that contains a very large number of days, most of which you got up for. Tomorrow is not a makeup exam. It's just Tuesday, or whatever it is. It doesn't know about today. And you don't have to earn tomorrow by suffering tonight. That's a trade people try to make at 3 in the morning, and it has never once paid out. Lie here. Be comfortable. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. If sleep comes, take it. If it doesn't, you rested, and resting counts, and the morning does the real work anyway. Nothing is required of you until light. That's all. That's genuinely all. Good night. You know exactly why you're awake. There's no mystery here. There's no deep psychological thread to pull. You had a coffee at 4 in the afternoon, or a large one at 2, or something with caffeine in it that you didn't count as caffeine, which is most things. And now here you are, entirely alert, in a dark room, at an hour that has no business being interesting. Good. That's actually good news. And I'd like to explain why before we do anything else. The worst kind of sleepless night is the one where you don't know the cause. Because then the mind goes looking for one, and it will find something. It always finds something. It'll offer you your health, or your job, or a decision you made in 2019. You've been spared that tonight. There's a chemical in you with a known job, doing that job, on a known schedule. Nothing is wrong with your life. A molecule is sitting on a receptor. That's the entire situation. So let's talk about the schedule because it's more forgiving than it feels right now. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 hours in most people. Which means 5 hours after you drank it, half of it is gone. 5 hours after that, half of what's left. It doesn't stop suddenly. It fades. And here's the part that matters at this hour. The fade is happening right now while you lie here without any effort from you. You are not waiting for something to start. You're in the middle of something that's already most of the way through. Every minute of this is a minute where there is less of it than there was. That's not a comforting story. That's just chemistry, running whether you approve or not. It also means the thing you're most afraid of, that you'll be awake all night, is not how this ends. It tapers, and at some point in the taper you go under and you won't notice the moment. Now, what caffeine actually does, because knowing this changes what you do about it. There is a molecule called adenosine that builds up in the brain all day. That buildup is what tiredness is, not a feeling, a quantity. Caffeine doesn't remove it. It sits in the parking space so the adenosine can't. Which means the tiredness is still in there. All of it. The whole day's worth. It's been accumulating since you woke up, and none of it has been spent. It's just been unable to reach you. You are a very tired person who currently can't feel it. That's a different situation from not being tired, and it calls for a different response. If you weren't tired, you'd need to build tiredness, and that takes hours. But you're tired already. You only need the blockade to lift. And the blockade is lifting on its own at a rate you can't change, whatever you do next. So, what do you do next? Not much. That's the honest answer. Don't get up and start something. That's the main trap tonight, and it's a convincing one because you feel capable. You'll feel like doing the dishes, answering an email, reorganizing something. And it will feel great for about 40 minutes, and then the caffeine drops and you're left standing in a bright kitchen at 1 in the morning with your sleep window gone. Stay here. Stay horizontal. Stay in the dark. Even wide awake, lying still in a dark room is a fundamentally different state from being up and lit. Heart rate is lower. Core temperature falls. The body keeps preparing for sleep in the background while you're busy being alert. You are much closer to sleeping than you feel, and the feeling is the unreliable part. The feeling is being generated by the molecule. Of course it says you're not sleepy. That's what it's for. So let's be comfortable while the chemistry finishes. Let the shoulders come down. And they're probably up. Caffeine does that too. It's a stimulant. It puts tension in places you didn't ask for. And down, all the way. The jaw. Let the back teeth come apart. The hands. Open, loose. If your leg wants to move, and it might, that's a caffeine thing as well. Let it move once, properly, and then let it settle. Now the breathing. Caffeine speeds this up slightly, so don't expect it to be slow yet. Just find it, whatever it's doing. And then make the out breath longer than the in. That's the one instruction, longer out than in. You may notice your heart. That's normal at this dose in this hour, and it isn't a warning. A slightly fast heart in a still body is the least concerning version of a fast heart there is. If you notice it, and go back to the out breath. Somewhere in the next hour or two, without any announcement, the balance tips. The adenosine gets its parking space back. All of that stored tiredness reaches you at once. And it will be sudden, and you will not be conscious for it, which is the whole point. Tomorrow you'll have a small decision to make about 4 o'clock coffee, and you'll probably make the same one. And that's fine. That's not tonight's business. Tonight's business is lying here, comfortable, in the dark, while something wears off. Shoulders down, jaw loose, out breath long. Nothing is wrong, you're just early. Good night.